This is my presentation on why trust the Bible in an age of science. Is science more reliable? We live in two worlds, one filled with data, algorithms, and discoveries, and another shaped by ancient worlds and timeless truths. For many, these worlds are at war. But what if the battle between science and the Bible was never meant to be fought? What if they are not enemies, but allies? Today I want to show you how trusting the Bible while embracing science leads to more complete picture of reality. Science is remarkable at answering how questions. How do stars form? How does gravity work? How does the body fight diseases? It gives us the mechanics, the step-by-step processes of how the world operates. But the Bible asks and answers a completely different set of questions, the why questions. Why are we here? What's the purpose of life? What's wrong? What's right and what's wrong? These aren't competing truths. They're different kinds of truth. Science explains the workings of life, but the Bible explains the meaning of life. You can study the laws of physics for a lifetime, but they won't tell you why justice matters. You can map every cell in the human body, but you still won't know why life is precious. Science is our guide to understanding the physical world, but the Bible is our guide to understanding our purpose, our morality, and our identity. And together, they give us a far richer, more complete picture than either could alone. So if science and the Bible answer different kinds of questions, it's important to remember science, as incredible as it is, has its limits. Science is powerful, but it has boundaries. It can't prove or disprove God. It only studies what can be observed and measured. It cannot tell us why murder is wrong. It can only describe patterns of human behavior. And here's something many people overlook. Science itself is built on assumptions it can't prove. It assumes the universe is orderly. It assumes human reasoning is reliable. It assumes natural laws will stay consistent tomorrow just as they are today. Those assumptions aren't guaranteed by science. They're matters of faith. And interestingly, they align perfectly with the biblical worldview, which says the universe is the creation of an intelligent, purposeful God. In other words, even the foundation science stands on quietly points back to the very truths the Bible has declared for thousands of years. We have seen what science can and can't do. But what about the Bible? Why should we consider it a trustworthy source of truth in the first place? The Bible was never meant to be a science textbook. It's far more than that. It's a record of God's interactions with humanity spanning thousands of years. Its reliability stands on several pillars. Historical evidence that confirms its events and people. Fulfilled prophecies that were recorded centuries before they came true. The life, death, and resurrection of Jesus, witnessed by hundreds. And its unmatched impact on both individuals and entire civilizations. This single book has shaped legal systems, inspired hospitals, built schools, and laid the moral foundations for human rights. Yes, critics point to contradictions, but many of these dissolve when we examine the historical content and the original meaning of the text. The truth is, the Bible doesn't just inform, it transforms. It is the power to change lives, restore hope, and give purpose in a way no scientific discovery ever could. Now, even with the Bible's reliability, some people point to moments where science and scripture appear to be at odds. Take the age of the Earth, for example. Scientific evidence shows our planet is billions of years old, while some interpret the Bible's creation account to mean it's only thousands. But here's the key. These conflicts often come from treating the Bible like a science manual instead of a theological truth. Genesis doesn't give us a lab report. It tells us who created the world and why. Many Christians today fully embrace scientific discoveries while holding firmly to the biblical truth. They see science as as uncovering how God's creation works, and the Bible as revealing the deeper purpose behind it all. When we understand each on its own terms, the supposed clash between science and scripture begins to disappear. So if science and the Bible aren't enemies, the question becomes, why do we need both? Science can tell us how to build nuclear weapons. The Bible tells us whether we should. Science develops medicines to heal the sick. The Bible gives us moral reasons we value every life in the first place. Without the Bible's moral framework, science risks become a tool without a compass. Capable of incredible progress, but blind to whether that progress is good or harmful. Without science, we miss the intricate wonder and detail of God's creation, the very things the Bible calls upon us to appreciate. When science and the scripture work together, we gain not only knowledge to understand the world, but the wisdom to live well within it. Science explains how the universe, how the stars burn, how the body heals, how the world works. The Bible explains the why. Why we're here, why life matters, why good and evil exist. When we separate the two, we get an incomplete picture. Science without scripture has no moral compass. Scripture without science misses the intricate beauty of God's handiwork. But when we trust both, allowing science to expand our understanding and scripture to guide our hearts, we see the full truth. We not only understand how life works, we understand what life is for. That's why trusting the Bible in an age of science isn't outdated, it's essential. It gives us not just knowledge for our minds, but wisdom for our souls.